Stop! Is our reality just somebody's dream? Could someone or something just switch us off? Could it be possibly true that our world is just a computer program, or a hologram, or a dream? Although it's about the weirdest thing you could think of, there are some tantalizing clues that this may indeed be the case. The stuff we call reality simply isn't very real at all. Welcome to the outskirts of reality. Welcome to the place where theoretical physics and philosophy meet, where religion and science lose all meaning. Better fasten your mental seatbelts. What we're about to tell you is just too weird, too mind-boggling, and quite disturbing, really. There we go. The place we call reality may not be real at all. It may look real, it may feel real, and it may smell real. But if you know where to look, and you look really close, you can see the cracks. Just like a Hollywood actor that suddenly realizes he's not surrounded by real buildings, but by props made of cardboard paper. Sounds like some lame science fiction or Twilight Zone. I agree. Indeed, we've all seen The Matrix, but could such a thing be conceivable? Could it be true? Are we really here? Or are we, as one of our viewers suggested, only a computer simulation run by an alien race? Perhaps the simulation is getting boring. The guy running the program is about to switch it off. We'd see some kind of huge game over sign, and that would be it. One moment we're here, and zip, the next we aren't. If you're easily disturbed or prone to paranoia, you better stop watching this video now. You may not like the answers to the questions like these. What you are about to hear may change the way you see things forever. Why is the universe fine-tuned? First, there's a very, very peculiar thing about the place we live in. Something so weird and profound it sends shivers down your spine. For in fact, the universe seems to be fine-tuned to make life possible. The British cosmologist Fred Hoyle was the first to realize that this is no coincidence. A very peculiar thing about the fundamental constants is they appear to have exactly the right values. If they were slightly smaller or bigger, atoms, stars, planets, and people simply would not exist. Take the strong force inside an atomic nuclei. If the force were just slightly stronger, it would boost up the burning stars so much they would explode only seconds after they were formed. We wouldn't even have a sun or even a planet. If, on the other hand, the force were a tad weaker, it would be too weak to hold together elements like heavy hydrogen isotope deuterium. Stars wouldn't light up, and we wouldn't be here either. Astonishingly, the same goes for all the other constants. As the famous British astronomer Martin Rees put it, wherever we look, we see examples of fine-tuning. Most of the physical constants and the initial conditions of the universe examined so far appear to be fine-tuned to some extent. That leaves us with a gnawing, unsettling question. Why? Why are all the physical constants exactly the way they are? Every cosmologist agrees that this can hardly be a coincidence. So what, or who, set up the rules? Matter. Is it just chunks of music? Next, you should know, the stuff of our universe isn't very real at all. Sure, you can feel the chair underneath you, and you can see the monitor in front of you, but what we feel and touch and see in everyday life is actually a manifestation of some deeper, completely different kind of underlying reality. One way to explore what matter is to take it apart. First, you'll find tiny chunks of matter that are called molecules. Then you take the molecules apart and you'll find the atoms and that the molecules are made of. And then if you take them apart further, the atoms, you'll see, are made of a nucleus surrounded by a cloud of electrons. And what if you take apart the nucleus, you're in for a big surprise. For inside an atom's nucleus, reality as we know it ceases to exist. An atom's nucleus is made of tiny entities that we call particles. But that's just for lack of a better word. When you say particles, you think of little balls. But in quantum physics, there's no such thing as solid balls you can touch or see. In fact, particles like quarks, electrons, and photons are so incredibly and utterly different from everything we know of, our language lacks the words to describe them. Particles can be in two places at the same time and behave both like a wave and a tiny chunk of matter, depending on what you do to them. Particles can pop in and out of existence from nowhere, and grabbing them is impossible. It is simply not possible to both know where a particle is and how fast it moves about. But still, a particle has to be something, right? That's why more and more physicists turn to string theory. In string theory, matter is ultimately made up of extremely small elastic circles called strings. These strings vibrate, but not like anything we know. Strings vibrate in at least 10 dimensions. Our particles are vibrations of the strings. They are the music that the strings are made of. The universe, bubbles or what? Okay, hold that thought. Matter is ultimately the manifestation of something else. Gladly, there are things that are normal. Take the universe again. It is something we think we know. The universe is that big black thing with all the lights in it over your head. Perhaps you've even heard of it expanding. First there was kind of a blast called the Big Bang, and then from that moment on the universe grew bigger and bigger. But hold it right there. Once more, the real story is far stranger than that. For starters, the universe has no outside. To ask what is outside the universe is a meaningless question. It would be like asking what continent lies outside our planet. Outside the universe, there is no dimensions. There is no time. The universe is best seen as an expanding bubble of dimensions in a sea of nothingness, although nothing really isn't the word you'd use to describe it either. What is outside the universe? It's extremely difficult to fully comprehend what that means. According to one theory, there are many dimensional bubbles like the one we live in. Our universe could be the result of two such bubbles or planes colliding. And wait, you're doing it again. You're picturing a place with bubbles floating around, but there's no such thing as a place. Instead, the other universe should be wrapped up within our own reality, remember? An even more bizarre theory has it that the place we call the universe is actually best compared with a hologram. Our universe could be some kind of optical illusion, the result of several dimensions resonating. And it goes even further, for in fact, it could actually be possible to create a universe. Basically, the only thing you'd have to do is squeeze a huge amount of energy together into a very dense, small spot. This would lead to a Big Bang, the theories predict. We would see it happening. The Big Bang would create a new dimension bubble far beyond the reach of our own bubble. Okay, let's pause for a second. Just think about it. Is it possible that our reality is actually made up by some other civilization in some other universe, and it would explain why the fundamental constants are fine-tuned? And you? How real is your mind? So to wrap things up, we live in a place that's not really a place. We're made of stuff that's not really stuff. What we see is only a small part of what's really there. Matter, time, dimensions, the universe, it's all lucid and unreal. To make things even more bizarre, for some reason, our universe is exactly preset to make our existence possible. Pretty confusing, don't you think? Gladly, you can cling to this one security, that you know that you are here. No matter how weird the stuff around you is, you are definitely for real. No need to explain, you just know you are. But do you really? Let's do an experiment. Speak out your name over and over and over again. After a while, you'll notice something weird. Your name begins to sound strange. It's no longer something that is you. Your name is just a word, a random sequence of syllables and sounds that other people utter when they want to catch your attention. If your parents had given you another name, you would listen to another sequence of sounds. The same happens when you look in the mirror. Stare at your own face long enough and you'll suddenly realize it's just another face. The face in the mirror, of course, is you, but after a while it won't feel like that anymore. The face you see could be anybody's. Most scientists agree the same applies for your consciousness. The thing you call yourself is most likely an illusion created by your brain. Your brain gives you vision, sound, speech, feelings, and thoughts. When you add all these things up, you have some overall feeling of awareness you call consciousness. But still, your brain isn't the thing running it. Your feeling of self is best compared to a software program running. It looks very real, but it isn't. Of course, most people believe there's something like a soul or a spirit living inside you, but when it comes down to the facts, there just isn't any evidence for that. Every thought you have, every move you make, every emotion you feel, it's just brain, brain, brain. There are actually experiments that prove it. When you disturb your brain in a certain way, your feeling of self can get detached from your brain. Suddenly it feels as if you are not inside your body anymore. You experience what is known as an out-of-body experience or a near-death experience, but you don't have to be nearly dead to feel it. The sensation can easily be created in a laboratory by placing a helmet with rotating magnetic fields on your head. The magnetic field acts like a jam signal on your brain. Suddenly you feel like you're floating outside your body, but you aren't. It's just your brain getting confused. And you don't really need a helmet to do the trick. Visiting a place where the movement of the Earth's crust generates magnetic fields can give you the same experience. Being in a situation where your brain doesn't get enough oxygen sometimes does it. Certain brain operations bring out the experience. Meditation and intensive prayers can generate it. Strong drugs like LSD can generate it. In fact, this is why so many people see ghosts, or Mother Mary, or Jesus, or feel like they are visited by aliens. It is an incredibly weird experience to be outside of your brain. Your brain will try to make sense of it immediately. The rational part of your brain will come up with an explanation for the experience. You'll see a presence near you. If you're religious, you might see Mother Mary or Jesus. If you believe in UFOs, your brain might tell you you're being visited by aliens. If you believe in ghosts, you'll feel the presence of a ghost or a dead person. But in reality, it's your own feeling of self you're experiencing. So what are you trying to say, dollars? We're a game of Sims? Well, so there you are. You're a walking piece of matter that's pretending to be someone. But in reality, things like matter or self or the universe or time or dimensions are all just illusions. Everything we see, everything we feel, we are, in fact, the manifestations of some other underlying reality. That leaves you with one unsettling question. What exactly is that reality? The truth is, we don't know. Could be almost anything, really. A dream, even, or a simulation, or a kind of computer game, an advanced kind of civilization or Sims. There's no way of knowing if there's something, there's no way of knowing if there's someone or something pushing the buttons. There's no way of knowing that there isn't either. And then there's this other thing most theorists agree on. Our reality could suddenly end. Our universe could fold up, the dimensions we live in could be wrapped up, the very fabric of our physical world could be disrupted by some unprecedented, weird physical event. For 1 second to the other, our reality would no longer be there. Sounds like fun, right? But then again, why bother? For that's the deeper consequence of these things. If there is no such thing as a place we call Earth, we needn't really worry about its end. Would the characters of a Sims game feel sad or disappointed when you turned off the computer? Or would the people of your dream of at night mind if you wake up? You guessed it, they probably wouldn't. What isn't really there doesn't really end. That being said, there's only one small problem. You see, you have to be a good philosopher to really feel that way. Hello again, and welcome to another strange tale of the end of everything.
So are we living in a video game? Are we actually part of a giant simulation? I don't think you can know. I think you can argue that whoever has written the simulation, whatever super entity has written the simulation, could make it so sophisticated that even your memories are a result of this, of being programmed by the simulator or simulatrix. So the question is at some level irrelevant, but at another level, I think we would have to agree it's unknowable. You can just presume any level of sophistication that makes it undetectable to us. With that said, there have been a lot of science fiction stories where people discover that they're living in a dome or inside a hollow world or underground. And the metaphors for this are from our everyday experience. You hear about kids who've been kidnapped and kept in a room till they're 14 and they know nothing of the world outside. And the human mind, apparently, at some level, is incapable of detecting that outside world unless something goes wrong. For me, as a philosopher, to prove that we were living in a video game was an extraordinary level of effort. But if you can do it, bring it on. But it seems to me it's a hard question to resolve because it's easy to imagine a game designer, a simulation designer, making it so sophisticated that you can't tell.